Lately, I've really been coming back to the basics of personal finance and making sure that my budgeting, spending, and tracking game is really on point. You never know what the future is going to hold, and for me, I want to be prepared for the absolute worst so that when or if it hits, I am prepared and I can know that I have done everything possible to weather the storm. So right now I am certainly getting into sort of bare bones budgeting mindset. So what I'm doing right now is looking at my expenses. That's everything that hits my bank account in a month to make sure that I know what my absolute minimum is. Like, what's my monthly nut? What do I have to cover bare minimum throughout the month? So that's what I've taken some time to do today, and I'm going to share with you the categories that I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories, and how much I roughly spend in those, how much I spent exactly in those categories, and then kind of talk you through my process for deciding if this number is manageable. Number one, I want to know the number, and then if this number is manageable, and then if anything does happen, what I would do to adjust. Because again, this year is going to be all about getting back to the basics and making sure that I'm solid in what I'm doing, whatever happens. So you've heard the saying, you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I am hoping for the best, acting and taking steps to prepare for the best, to work toward the best, but I am certainly preparing for the worst, just in case. So here is my monthly budget. These are the numbers. This is my bare minimum cost. These are my fixed costs and what hits my bank account every month. So these are in alphabetical order with actually the most important category at the bottom. So number one is debt repayment, and that's $316. And this would probably be the category where I would start to do what I can. So there's a student loan repayment there, and I would certainly, that's my next item, is to call them or to go online and to apply for a lower payment just proactively. So that's category number one. Category number two is entertainment. And of course, that is the first category that would get cut if anything in my income situation were to change. So I'll tell you what that comprises is I have an Amazon Prime subscription, and I subscribe to 2 additional channels. I subscribe to BritBox and BBC, I think is the other one. It's like $7 a month. I also have an AMC Stubs membership. So those things would be the first to be cut or put on pause were anything to change in my financial situation. $82 is that total category. So I'm keeping those for as long as I can. So future savings is the next category, and that's $166. What that includes is my contribution to my daughter's 529, as well as any IRA investing and payments on a life insurance policy for my husband. The next category is health, and right now that's $6 because I've already paused my gym membership and my streaming subscription. I used to have a subscription to Tracy Anderson online, and I enjoyed that subscription, but I paused it for a number of reasons. That was $90 a month, and I had that since 2020. So I've had that for almost 3 full years, and I loved it at the time. I just don't have the room in my 765 square foot Manhattan apartment. I don't have the room to do a full Tracy Anderson workout. So it was high time that I paused that. I used to share it with my mom. She doesn't really have the time to do a full Tracy Anderson workout either. I really enjoy it, but that's paused. I also, for now, indefinitely. I also paused my gym membership, and that I do miss because we have a gym quite close to us, and I used to go down there every Saturday in the morning. My husband would watch our daughter, and I would go down there for an hour and do a workout, and I do miss that. Once a week, I miss it a lot. So that is on pause until February, and I think I may add that in if finances allow. If not, I walk in the park, or I take our daughter to a mall and I walk around indoors if the weather is bad. So if possible, I would like to add that gym membership subscription back in. The next category is tithe, and that's $200. And I am going through some thought process on that because there are a couple different schools of thought. When I first started my debt-free journey, that was absolutely, I refused to cut that. And I still subscribe to the idea that tithe comes off the top, and I do that first. At the same time, I'm reminded again, as a person of faith, the whole, in the New Testament, and it's not an obligation at all. It's my personal conviction that this comes off the top because nothing I have is my own. I am a steward of everything I have. And that's, for me, it's more of a mental set to say, none of this belongs to me. This all comes from my higher power, my God as I understand him. So that's mentally. But in the New Testament, there's that line about if a man can't take care of his own house, he's worse than a non-believer. So I really want to think about taking care of my own household first. So I would be open to adjusting that amount, ideally not by much, ideally not at all, if at all possible, but that is something that I can potentially play around, adjust. The next category is savings. That's near-term savings. And this is actually not, so I would put not active, because I would put some aside in an automatic debit to have that set aside in it, like a slush fund account, for any, like a general sinking fund. I didn't want to get too specific, because some people get really specific in their categories. Like, this is for new shoes, this is for school supplies, this is for Christmas. And I just lump it all into one savings account, because my income and my expenses are so tight. That is actually paused, but what I do, rather than discontinuing all automatic transfers, I have a transfer that goes out, and then I have a transfer that from that savings account that comes back into the account, so that when my financial situation turns around, I can just pause the amount that comes back into my account. It's complicated, but that's how it goes for me. So that amount was $200. The next category is transportation, and that is my E-ZPass payment and payment on car insurance. And the last category, the most important, is utilities. So phone, water, gas, electric, and that's $481. That is the category that I choose not to cut at all. So that's a total. Those are the 8 categories that I have right now, for a total of $441, which at the moment is about 51% of my take home, because I have all of the deductions that hit prior to deductions that come out of my check before they hit my bank account. So that's $1,441. And then for groceries and food out, I normally spend about $500 a month. I tallied up my grocery spending for 2023. I spend about $500 to $600 a month. It's like $550 for the year. That's what I spent in 2023. And then about $100 to $200 takeout, which I am very proud of, because I work my butt off to make sure that our food spending is the bare minimum that it can be, that I'm cooking. I cooked 7 days a week. I cooked 7 days last week. Occasionally we have leftovers, and sometimes I'll buy a quiche from the grocery store and I'll serve that for dinner or lunch. But I work really hard to make sure that we are not paying a premium for takeout. So all in, my monthly nut is about $1,941 that I need to cover, $1,941. So that's what I got, and doing that exercise really helped me solidify what's most important and what I need to prepare for the storm ahead. And if the storm passes over and all the weather reports are wrong, awesome, then I'm prepared. And if the storm does hit, I can say, well, at least I went through and I weatherproofed my financial house. So that's what I got for you. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear how you prepare for unexpected events. Thanks, and hope you'll keep watching.